My name is Patricia A. Patton, and welcome to the virtual Bronx Book Fair 2020. I'm really happy to have been invited to share briefly with you about the power of women's narratives. This is a topic that has been a source of fuel driving me through my 7 decades. And I must say, as a student of intellectual history, my true beginnings are in the history of Mother Wit. I began learning in my house from the women in my house. And there is the beginning of the decoding process that I use to understand history. What I knew from what I learned in my house was that women's voices were often silenced, women's voices were often not valued. But I knew before I left home that women's voices were a source of fuel that I would use to propel myself into my dreams. I have often thought about work that I wanted to share myself in the literary world, but I have often suffered from a willingness to make my voice heard. And so today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to out myself and share one of the lessons that I've learned in 7 decades that I hope that you will take with you, and that is how to work against fear. I've been a wannabe entrepreneur since my early 20s, but until 15 years ago, I seemed to be stuck in a dream, unable to make the jump from a 9-to-5 job to a scary life of freedom. Mind you, the desire to connect my passion to a profit center was so intense I could taste it. Yet, I could only get to the edge. I blamed my inability to live this dream on my responsibilities. I couldn't upset the flow. I was primarily preoccupied with putting out fires in my life. In retrospect, all of these fires seem rooted in scarcity and some kind of fear. Then 9/11 happened. The threat of everything ending in one big poof of smoke, as had been the case for many people that day when 2 planes crashed into the World Trade buildings, left me gasping for air. The fear that I felt was palpable. I had to acknowledge my hesitation was not about that day, but about several things in my life that were really about fear. The many demons, most of which I had created, who wouldn't let me be who I am, were strewn along my life's path, and they were causing me to lose faith in myself. That girl who left home, afraid of nothing, had slid into a comfort zone that was about maintaining the status quo, ensuring a false sense of security for me and my family, and making sure we did not go down. In my inner life, I was transcendent, but I wasn't able to share my gifts of creativity and discernment with others, and I needed a way back to myself. And this is why events like the virtual Bronx Book Fair 2020 are so important, because they encourage us to find a way back to ourselves. Allow our voices to be silenced. If there's anything I want to express today and to encourage you to remember, and that is that do not allow your voice to be silenced. Do not allow that little voice on the side of your shoulder that's always sort of questioning you to actually change your mind or to change your dreams. One of the things that I have found to be most difficult, even for those of us who walk in this world and listen to our own drummer, is that you're constantly adjusting yourself to the box that somebody else is creating for you. And that is the one thing you want to work against. You want to not adjust to be in a box that somebody else has created for you. Yes, there is a price that you pay for marching to the drum, your own drum. There's a price that you pay, but there's also a joy that you experience. And that is a joy I encourage you to keep striving for in your work as a creative. If I were to tell my 16-year-old self advice and looking back, I would say, Patricia, don't go so fast. You don't have to be in a hurry. Life is short, and enjoy. Enjoy things as you go on. There's no reason to seek to be grown so early in life. My 21-year-old self, I probably would have told her to trust herself, to trust who she was becoming more, to believe in her own dreams, to believe in her own dreams about what was possible for her, that the affirmation that she was seeking from outside really had to come from inside. And for my 30-year-old self, I'd probably say, trust your demons. Respect your demons. The shadows in your life, respect that, work on that. Don't act like it's not real, because they are real, and you must work through the joys and the sorrows in your life. Let me end by adding this last little piece. Everyone claims to believe in freedom, but most of us are unwilling to do what it takes to live freely. If you're unwilling to get clear on the type of life you want to live, you will most likely never manage to live it. Being clear on what you do not want is not enough to get you from point A to point B. You have to spend time living and breathing exactly what B is. Sounds simple, but you must, as my mother would say, get to yourself in order to come to some conclusion about what freedom is or what point B is. So enjoy the virtual Bronx Book Fair, and I will see you there.